Hello. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about monitoring and maintaining a live installation of OpenCRVS. This is a video in addition to one which my colleague Riku has made regarding the pre-deployment checklists, in which he talks a lot about these things as well. So I recommend you take a look at that video in section 6 of the documentation. So OpenCRVS comes with the ELK stacks, that's Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And the ELK stack is a great set of tooling to help you monitor the health of an application. So you log into Elasticsearch at kibana.yourdomain. Log into Kibana at kibana.yourdomain. And you can use your Elasticsearch super user password to log in with the username Elastic. So this is what it looks like when you're logged in. Now, ELK comes with a lot of features, some of which you can pay for, but you don't need to pay for anything. Everything that you need is free for monitoring OpenCRVS. So don't get distracted by any extra features it's asking you to pay for. You don't need to pay for anything. So you navigate through Kibana through this menu on the left, and some of the things you want to be looking for on a regular basis is in observability section APM, that's application performance monitoring. So this tracks kind of errors or the performance of all the microservices in OpenCRVS, and you can see the number of transactions, and this way you can sort of see, which microservices may be under higher load, and therefore you might want to consider scaling in your next deployment of OpenCRVS. And you can scale anything via Docker Compose. In Docker Compose, you can say the number of replicas you think each service needs. You can also scale microservices on the fly by connecting to your server with SSH. And if you run the command docker service ls, you can see all of the running services as well, and then you can scale individual ones. You can see, for example, I've got the user management microservice. There's currently 2 replicas. If I wanted to scale that, I can copy the name of the service and type docker service scale OpenCRVS user management equals 3, and that would scale it from 2 to 3, or equals 1, that would scale it down to 1, or 0, that would entirely turn the microservice off. So that is how you would respond to that should you need to, but you can also configure various alerts to get informed when these things happen. So OpenCRVS comes with a bunch of alerts built in, and these alerts I've talked about when we were talking about configuring servers. So you can see that the servers here we go. We can see that the servers are automatically going to alert you if there's the CPU is under heavy load. Then you can log in and see what's going on. If you're running out of space on the server, if there's any error in a microservice, or if anybody's SSH'd into the server, you will get an alert regardless. And I think in the configuration video I showed you how to direct those alerts to an email address, which then you could forward to Slack, and your whole team could be notified. And you can create new alerts anytime you like, and you can run alerts on any kind of issue you want that's possible with ELK. So you can write Elasticsearch queries and create your own custom alerts should you need to. And another thing you might often want to do is be able to see the logs of a service. So you don't always want to, in fact, there really shouldn't be very much need for you to SSH into a server. You can see all of the errors in Elasticsearch in Kibana, and you can see all the microservice logs. So if you go to observability logs, then you get all of the output from the entire stack in real time. But you can also find logs for specific microservices using the tag keyword. So if I said tag user-mgnt, then I would get just the logs associated with the user management microservice. So if I knew there was an error in that service, I could track down the source of the error here like this. So tag : space and then any named microservice in OpenCRVS core that you want to see. If you want to see errors in your country configuration, microservice, tag : country config, and you can get any alerts that are happening here. And these are generally, you want to be looking at these when you're trying to debug any email sending issues, because it's the country config service, of course, which has those email APIs. So very useful to see what could be going wrong with your SMTP server, perhaps. So another interesting section is the metrics section in our observability, the metrics explorer. And in the metrics explorer, you can get information about all of the physical servers, available disk space, used memory, CPU load, etc. And these visualizations can be used to help you decide whether you may need another worker node or you've got too many worker nodes, etc. So we provide you with this document on monitoring and maintaining OpenCRVS. And this is a useful tool for your project managers to ensure that the implementation team are performing regular activities for a deployment. So you can see, you can track if they have completed the pre-deployment checklist. You can track if they have completed all actions in ongoing costs, and environments and users' credentials, if the data security framework has been shared, and then specifically it can talk about all of the regular maintenance activities. You can keep track of what version you're running and things like that. So what sort of monitoring and maintenance activities are required? Well, they're listed in the monitoring and maintenance checklist. We provide this checklist which you can customize, but we need to be checking, for example, every year to make sure that our SSL certificate is refreshed, that if there is a requirement to upgrade Ubuntu, that is happening. Now, we do provide automatic upgrades for patches to the current version of Ubuntu, but you may wish to actually upgrade the entire Ubuntu version and schedule that work in. Also, whenever microservice alerts happen, you will get a Sentry issue, which we talked about in the server configuration. So if you receive a Sentry error, have you made an issue on your GitHub repo to be addressed so that the Sentry issue can be fixed? Have you raised it with the core team? It could be an issue with OpenCRVS core that you need help with. have there been any customer requests? You know, have staff members complained about a bug or something not working the way they expected? Have there been any user issues created that you need to respond to? And has there been anything which has not been caught by either of these two systems, but you have found in Kibana? Then have you created issues for that? And then we can work on hot fixes, and you can work on upgrading. So you also probably want to include, you know, memorable might want to include reminders for you to check what the latest OpenCRVS version is and scheduling OpenCRVS upgrades. So we do have a release calendar where, you know, we deploy OpenCRVS, new versions of OpenCRVS quite a lot. We deploy minor hot fixes and patches, you know, maybe once a month, and then minor releases once every 4 months, and major releases every year or so. So make sure that you keep track of the release schedule of OpenCRVS and plan to upgrade. So we provide this checklist to you that you can use, and we explain each of these checks a little bit in this documentation so you can understand what the checks are. We also recommend you get your system penetration tested. Although we do perform penetration tests on our infrastructure ourselves and on OpenCRVS ourselves, that doesn't mean that you should take for granted that your installation is secure, and you should run independent penetration tests yourself. Also, there's no penetration test that can catch every possible problem. It's very important to regularly do it, and you'll often come up with new issues each time you do it. So very worthwhile running regular penetration tests. And so these documents are here to help you. You should read them and understand what each of the checks are, how to perform them, so you can feel confident in monitoring and maintaining your installation. So hopefully that covers many of the requirements around monitoring and maintaining OpenCRVS. There are some Docker commands that you should get used to, such as Docker service ls, Docker service scale, Docker service inspect to inspect a container. And if you are interested in what it looks like inside an OpenCRVS server, you can see that all of the data is in the data folder. This is where all of the OpenCRVS database data is saved, and it's all encrypted in this data folder. You can see this is where backups are saved, and then they're replicated off onto a backup server every night. You can see, if you go into the opt OpenCRVS folder, you can see in here are all the Docker Compose files, and inside the infrastructure folder, it's exactly the same as what you have in your country configuration infrastructure folder. So all the same scripts to clear, restore, etc., they're all here. And we have a number of custom logs in the var log folder. So you can see here we have a number of OpenCRVS specific logs, like the backup log and the restore log. We have deployment logs. So you can, if you need to see if something went wrong and you wanted to find out what was going on, you can check these logs. If anything didn't work with backup and restore, they're all here to help you. So that is hopefully useful information for you on monitoring and maintaining OpenCRVS. take a good read through the section, look at the pre-deployment checklists, and look at the data security framework document, which we'll be talking about in another video. Thank you.